We in there, bro.
All right.
Got five on it, 'cause we bringing you the facts. Who got five on it? When you get back. Who got five on it?
Hey.
All you need. Who got five on it? Fucking with this family. Who got five on it? 'Cause we bringing you the facts. Who got five
on it?
When you get back. Who got five on it? We got all that you need. Who got five on it? Fucking with this
family.
We just want to drop it on.
This time I gotta lay a verse.
Yeah.
I'm saying next time y'all gotta let me lay a verse on it.
What's that?
Oh shit.
Yeah. We was rolling.
We're gonna do that shit again.
We're gonna do it again. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna get into it.
We in here. Yeah.
You'll get back.
Yeah, you will. Yeah.
Fucking with this family. Use the facts.
Who got five on it? When you give, you'll get back. Who got five on it? We all that you need. Who got five on it? Fucking with this family.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what's up.
Shit.
Done
deal.
Done.
We did that all the way to the house. Yeah. Can we cut him up? It's lagging. Super lagging. Welcome. Hopefully y'all can hear us. Give us a warning if you can hear us and see us before we get started. How we stop it from lagging like that? Okay.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
It's like 60 seconds.
Right.
Okay. Okay, Nicholas said they can hear us.
Okay.
Yeah, they can hear us. Peace. Yeah, maybe.
We hear.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so welcome everybody. Welcome. Y'all are now rocking with the family. The spiritual, our special guest brother, Ani Osaru. as well as myself and Counseling the Oracle. We're going to get into it. Tonight is life after death. What really happens when we die?
Yeah. You know, came through religion. So thank you. A lot of us came through religion. And so religion definitely kind of made it confusing. And now that you're awakening, it's just like, okay, so what am I doing now? So just to bring an introduction, Ani Osaru, spiritual shade room, he's always decoding and giving you all the decoding of spiritual impulses and things that are going on. So who better to discuss this with than him? As you all know, we need you all to support both of our channels. You should see our Cash Apps at the bottom of the screen. It's really important that you all begin to invest your energy in currency where we are investing our energy in currency, because until we do that, then there's no point in awakening if we're not learning how to use our money as an extension of ourselves. And so what happens is within our community, a lot of us are actually paying spiritual debt because a lot of us supported the church system. We supported a lot of things that we have awakened to be something that is anti-awakening and anti-freedom and liberation of our souls, to not have to be forced reincarnated, to not have to be used as an energy source. And so because of that, we can be tight with our energy and currency in some areas, but I'm sure that y'all weed man probably taken care of, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure y'all probably got some brand name stuff in your closet, got some on now. Definitely. Like, let's just be real. And the sad part about this is we have been brainwashed as to the connection between money, our energy, our spiritual path, and the life after death. So it is just our personal belief. I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, when I was having this discussion today with Ernest prior to talking to our brother, I was like, we really need to change our mindsets and the relationship that we have with our money and the relationship that we have with our own community. And so we have lost so many master teachers who died in debt, who died and weren't able to pay their hospital bills, weren't able to pay for their funerals. And Ani was just enlightening us on some of the details of that. And I'm sure y'all already know about this because we were all raising money with Brother Panic, so to help Bobby Hidden after his stroke. And, I feel like if anybody is taken care of, it should be the people who have stepped out in the forefront and are willing to risk everything to bring you all information that has otherwise been difficult to get and to gain access to. So with that being said, just remember that you are always going to give whatever you are receiving is what you're giving. This is the law of resonance. The laws of the universe do not shift just because of us, that we must learn how to be in alignment with these things. And so as long as we're using our money to support systems that are anti-awakening, whether it's corporations, whether you're going and shopping and buying all the new stuff that's coming out, you really want to pay attention to where you are investing your currency, because it does impact the afterlife. Absolutely, it does. And we want to take care of each other better than what we have been. So this is not just for you, this is for everybody. This is for us too. So if you all have been benefiting from the information that Ani and Remnant's Gathering bring to you, then we would like for you to donate and make sure that you let us know that this is something you would like for us to continue doing, because it's benefiting you. Because we still have 3D Matrix lives just like you do. And we still have all the other stuff going on in the background that you do. But to be able to make time to do this and do this research and these bills, the technology, everything that it takes to keep this going, like real talk, this ain't no building fund type of conversation with the church shit, and then nothing never happens with the church. Like, you see what we doing and how we moving. So if you were supportive for somebody who was anti-awakening and was suppressing and oppressing the people with what they were teaching, you are indeed in a spiritual debt, and this is going to help you to move forward. So there is no money spell, there is no abundance ritual that is going to help you to shift what is happening until you shift your mindset, and until you understand, overstand, and understand that your money is an extension of you, and that it actually does impact the afterlife. And so we want to make sure that we're not just focused on this life, but we're focused on the fact that we are the currency. We are not in lack. It doesn't matter if it's $1 or 1,000, whatever you got, you want to do that because that's going to break the poverty mindsets. And that is also going to break a lot of the things that we have been stuck in and have been unable to break. So if you need healing, I know the church told us if you need healing, get in the $500 line. You need to, but there was an actual system behind that. That we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We need to support our teachers. We need to support our community. And in order to do that, we have to shift our relationship with how we are using our money, which is an extension of you. All right.
Couldn't say it no better, babe.
Yeah.
That's it. You got something to add to that one, Ani?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was beautifully said. Like she said, a lot of our master teachers did die. Yosef Ben Yakinen, I told this several times that he died in a nursing home. Our master teachers shouldn't be dying in nursing homes and needing people from outside to pay for things that we should have been invested in. So you invest in this holographic realm and you divest within the afterlife. We have to understand what we're doing here has a big impact. Where is your mind giving things? You know, when you give, it's more than just giving something, physical, giving energy from yourself when you give. So I agree with everything she said. We need to invest and make sure that those like ourselves that brings this information, it's a lot of things going on in the world and they don't want the truth out. And if they're going to try to suppress the truth and you have people who dedicate their time, their lives, they put time for us to bring this forward to you, then you should also have gratitude and invest into that. Did y'all hear me? Okay, I can't hear y'all. Y'all click.
Okay. Now you can hear us.
Yeah, now I can hear y'all.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Yeah, everything you were saying. Yeah, so, man, talking about life after death, talking about what happens when we really die.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me take over.
We know we want to hear from you, bro. We want to hear from you. We have our perspectives, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there have their perspectives on what the afterlife is like.
Yeah.
And so from your research and from your knowledge, we want you to go ahead and begin to break it down and just share with all of us what you've come to learn and what you know as it relates to this whole mysterious subject.
Hey, I want to share my screen so we can go into the science. Y'all just let me know if y'all can see it.
Okay.
That point.
Okay, yeah.
Be able to break this down. Okay. We out there, we good?
We good.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So
all right.
what I'm showing right now, this image is showing the shield of the planet. If you watch the Matrix again, you'll see that Morpheus is talking over a tribe of melanated beings. And this is portrayed as the underworld beyond life in the hologram. We're nothing but fractals of light. Soul is a fractality of light. And what we're doing, we're becoming sacred geometrical shapes. And as we gather and download information into our chakras, it becomes liquid data into the Akashic records. So what I'm showing you right here is the land of Agartha. They spoke about this in the Nazi text, several books. They talk about a place in the North Pole that the Nazis, the SSS, everything in the secret doctrine and Rudolf Steiner, he was talking about a place on the world where you transfer, it's called DNA transference, horizontal gene transfer. What you want to become, you go through this landscape between life and death. Everything is coherent between each other. Life and death is synonymous, just like the dualism of sun and the moon. So as we're living, we're dying, and as we're dying, we're still alive. But the truth of the matter is a science, and I'm gonna get into some of the literature in a minute, so y'all can have the scholarship, and you can show people exactly what's going on. Okay, so what they believe right now is going on. You have two systems. You have the Kabbalah, you have the Khalifa, and these people that are putting these things out in the world from the crown bloodline, like the coronavirus, is a biological weapon, because we have to understand what a virus is to understand what death is. That's why I'm gonna go into the phage lambda in a second, so you can understand what phage lambda is and why the Egyptians, who were taught by the Mayans, you have new information. You can get the book Queen Mu, the Egyptian Sphinx.
Okay.
The American Sphinx. I'm sorry, the American Sphinx. Queen Mu. You can get that book by Le Plungian. It's L.E. Plungian. And he's going to tell you how the Mayans were the ancestors of the Egyptians. I know a lot of people come to shock of that, but they migrated down when the earth was Pangea. They migrated down and they merged with Cushites and the Nubians. Yeah. And they taught the Egyptians, and the Egyptians referred to them a lot. They talk about the ancestors in the West. Now, the West to them, the Pharaoh talks about the Dawat, the journey of the Pharaoh during death. And it says when a person dies, you got 24 hours. 24 hours quintessential. That's why they took out Kobe Bryant, who wears 24 hours in a day. And between the 24 hours, you got to learn how to make it back to the sun to become king. But this sun isn't the reference of the sun outside, the holographic sun that we see is talking about the soul, which is a fractal, and it's a quantum realm that we must begin to understand as we interact with these different people that come in and out of our lives. This thing is happening on the holographic level, but it's also happening on the quantum level beyond death. They follow something called the Lyrianic Kabbalah. In this Kabbalah, everything has a cabal to it. Everybody says if you have a team of friends, the cabal, each and every one of your friends has a different function. You have one guy who's the intellectual guy, you got one guy who's the funny guy, you make all the jokes, you got one guy talk all to the girls and stuff like that, or vice versa with the women. You got one girl, one of the friends real emotional, you got the strong friend that gives the advice. These are all cabals. Everything is cabal. So in their cabal, they believe in something called the Lyrianic Cabal. The Lyrianic Cabal, they believe by doing evil, they balance the world. Now, evil, we're going to talk about the 42 laws of Ma'at. We're going to get into the judgment between life and death, because they don't believe the evil that they're doing pertains to the weighing of the heart on the scale. They're going to destroy the weighing of the heart on the scale, and there's a monster named Amit. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, this monster devours you. Now, from my studies, I'm beginning to understand that this monster they're talking about is the archons. Because what you want to do is evolve beyond physical shell, which is called Sheila. This image right here I'm showing is called the Sheila. The shield, it shows a landscape right there, but the shield in general is in actuality the body. The body is here to unpack aura, unpack auric fields. Each of the auric fields connects to something called the 7 or the 8 neural biocircuit. 8 neural biocircuit is the chakras. We're talking about bioluminescence, chemiluminescence. Chemiluminescence is how you become the light body. while you're going through these transgressions of interacting with different people, different experiences, and the whole entire thing about life going into death, you want to acquire longitudinal coherence. This is memory after death. This is the main thing and why these waveform patterns that we interact with during meditation, during the dream realm, during psychedelics is quintessential to what you're going to experience. So if I'm going to go into what happens into death, it depends on what type of person you're in, because everything is almost like a hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a hierarchy where people go. So you're going to ask me what's happening after death. It depends what auric hierarchy that you're in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to show you this phase lambda and read some of this to you so people can understand this aspect of it.
Like the and damn, they look like the
Can y'all hear me?
yeah.
Okay. So it's called biosemiotics. That's what we're looking at right now. Pharaohs. Okay, first of all, biosemiotics is a biology interpreted as sign systems. That is, the sign is a fundamental biological unit, such as a protein or a molecule. A broad study of the 8 ancient Egyptian texts spanning from 2,000 years reveals that over 870 decoded signs exhibit a unified matrix of the ancient Egyptian science between life and death that mirrors modern scientific knowledge. The pharaohs were aware of bacterial genetics, space physics, quantum physics, and molecular biology, including recent research in cosmology related to the string theory and the black hole theory of dark energy, which is melanin. The clever monarchs of these people veiled their impressive scientific knowledge in their spiritual literature of a double signified sign and symbol related to their artwork. This decoded scientific sign system maps an alchemical reaction pathway of death and life, but it also provides key to signs found in ancient myths in Babylonia, Sumeria, India, and America. Furthermore, the mass Egyptian knowledge shows that the religious themes, such as the dying, rising god, and virgin birth, model the genetic activity of a complex virus. So this is why they're doing stuff with this virus. I don't understand this. A complex virus called bacteriophage lambda, related to the full scientific focus of the funerary text. Biosemiotics is a transdisciplinary information science. The domain of biosemiotics is explaining how the phage lambda is a part of a tiny quantum world of the cell and the proteins and molecular processes. Its purpose is to provide humans with information about the origin of life and the activity of nature for more intelligent adaptations to the universe. The biosemiotics is a direction or a new direction for humanity's light in a recent study. In the Egyptian text, they talk about the Amduat, the Book of the Gates, the Book of Two Ways, the Edifice of Taharka, and the Book of the Dead, which reveals elaborate biological science systems defining the cosmogenesis of our universe, the origins of life, the autopoietic design for human evolvability that unlocks the meaning across all disciplines. In a revelatory gaze through nature's veil, an interrelated matrix of 870 signs describes a biology that deals with real-world phenomena, representations of chemiluminescence, which I stated in the beginning, or photosynthesis. If we're light beings, we're engaging in this chemiluminescence, interacting in between people, our experiences, and our experiences becomes memory. Everything is a transference. People, experiences, memory. This is the same system set up between life and death. But the interaction is how do we understand the centripetal force of our kundalini, which is corresponding to how the black hole out there is making these stars called giants. So you want to know the mystery between the Nephilim, you got to know the mystery between what a giant star is, because the Nephilim, the giants, ain't nothing but stars, and the giants are the chakras. Each chakra is a different giant. You have a blue giant, you got a red giant, you got a yellow giant, you got a white dwarf, brown dwarf. All of this is chakra science, and these chakras are deities that when you go into meditation, you're making contact with the deities, which are your ancestors that are in your DNA to relay the pathways to the biocircuits and bring you back to the realm of light that they come from. They call it Luzpelheim in the Norse mythology. Luzpelheim, as they said in the beginning of Lemuria in Atlantis, there were only dark-skinned people that could reside in the southern hemisphere of the earth. And from this hemisphere, you could see Saturn in the beginning of time, which was the first coming of the rest of the planets. The birth of the planets, Saturn was a brown dwarf star, and it kind of like carried the planets in its body frame, and then it casted everything out, and that becomes what you call the collinear system that we see in the Milky Way. But previously it was a brown dwarf star. We are all dwarf stars. Dwarf stars are the first star that comes out of a dark hole or a black hole.
Okay.
So it's talking about communication and categorization of sciences, humanities, and evolvability. To understand life after death, you have to understand how evolvability works. There are computer simulations of protein evolution that is showed in the dramatic environmental change that leads to a selection for greater evolvability. So why did the European design this type of environment that we're in this world? If you live in New York, you live in cities, you're in these still snob places, which these places are going to take your soul if you don't understand that your environment is quintessential to how you evolve. DNA wise. That's why we have to show our children, we have to make our children be more in contact with nature, because if they get lost into this Eurocentric system, these people, the reason why they have to do what they do, jump out of planes and everything, they can't feel. You know, some of them just can't feel. So we go through experience. So they have to jump out of a plane or something like that, because we experience thrills, or whatever you want to call it, a rush of adrenaline naturally growing up in the hood. You know, you ride outside, it's natural to us. You know, the feeling of jumping out of a plane is every day for your average Black person or melanated person. Is average in the environment that we come up in. So what they do, since they can't feel, they design this environment that has no feeling in it. They don't build things with organic structures. They take and they strip stuff, just like Saturn stripped his layers for us to become born in this life. Actually, the Egyptians said that to be dead is to be in the physical body. That's one thing we got to understand first. We are dead. So you want to understand life after death. You're going through death right now. In the body, you're already dead. Like,
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? And melanin is left over. What the melanin is, if the sun is emitting this radiation, through the radiation emits this sut, this black substance. That's why that's what we are. We are the sut of the sun. We are the sun, and that sut is melanin, it's carbon. It's this thing that's holding everything together. So without us, they have nothing to hold everything together. But let me keep going so I get through some of this. So according to the Pharaoh's web of biosemiotics, human death is a passage to a quantum mirror universe where two chemical reaction pathways are available to the molecular deceased. The preferred path for evolvability results in a large-scale genetic move called a horizontal gene transfer. So you see this going on right here. You have an auric field in your body, and this cloud represents this auric field, which this cloud is delineated between iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, and zinc. This is the alchemical structure right here.
Okay.
Okay, so this structure, this phase lambda, inside of this head, which is a dodecahedron. There's different types of dodecahedrons I'm gonna show you. It has cold light in it. Okay. If we don't understand how to become the wave cycle of our Kundalini, you don't download. This represents the base, just like the root chakra. This is what we are. We are the virus. Understand this. When we procreate, we change other races into us. So they look at us as a virus called Nosferatu. That's a whole vampire thing. You know, the vampire, the vampire is real sexual and all of that. When you get the history of mythology, you know, he lays in a tomb. The tomb is Osiris, you know, all of that. But if you don't learn how to become centripetal, then you don't become a part of what we call the pole star. When the alien ship brings down this tractor beam and takes you up in it, this is reenacting how this phase lambda is. When you go back up and you go into this area of the head of the virus, this is how you become that centripetal force of that Kundalini, instead of it's just spinning. And it's reflecting DNA. It's a mirror of the DNA. As you can see right here, it says the head is a containment, of the DNA. So you see that when you look at baseball is very occult. You know, this is talking about horizontal gene transfer. This is the stages of death right here. So what are you playing? They're playing, what do they say? Slide home. You're trying to get home back to the black hole that you originally proceeded from. So you're going from the moon and you go through this cycle. This is all Masonic. This is Rosicrucian science. This is Moorish science. All of this, the diamond plate. The diamond is melanin, which is the daemon. And the daemon is playing you. You are the daemon, and it's playing you in this computer simulated system. So it's something, you know how you play your video game, you play the game, you control a character. The daemon is the intelligence of our people, the pharaonic race, the sage race. We're playing ourselves, but we aren't the thing in the game. We're just playing that. And what you want to do, see, the daemon already knows how you're going to die. He already knows how you're going to die. That's what deja vu is. Deja vu is showing you instances. If you can tap into your centripetal force, you can become what they call ESP. You have extra sensory perception. And the extra sensory perception is basically aligning with the centripetal force and becoming the black hole. Some people aren't the black hole. Some people are in between these stages. Some people on first base. You know, they talk in a relationship, I'm trying to get to first base, you know, just to get a kiss or something. Some people ain't even get the kiss yet. You know, in life. Not alone, they ain't have sex yet. They haven't even got the kiss first. You see what I'm saying? So they somewhere right here. And you got to play every, you know, when they say you got to play all positions. You got to play every position. And that's what you're looking at right here. This is what the pineal gland looks like. It looks exactly like this. If you want to look at it on a small scale, just to show them that. Melanin is called the death hormone. After the days in the dark, the brain naturally secretes and rebuilds. The death hormone, which is DMT, is so dangerously pursued by Western seekers. That's translation around bloodlines. They're looking for this stuff. Take it. It's in us. DMT removes the filter of the brain used to survive. So the first bio circuit is called survival. That's like the root chakra. So understanding how life and death works, the first thing that you understand in life in this holographic reality is survival. These people are stuck on survival. They'll do anything by the means just to survive. They're not moving up the star system. During the day, it allows the cosmos to shine through, literally revealing the same violet lights of spirit, which play as star fields equal to the star field of the glorious night sky. So that's what you're witnessing when you see that. And where my pictures is. Okay, there it go. All right, so this showing the physical universe and it's showing the protein universe. Let me read something else to you. So I just told you that the preferred path is horizontal gene transfer. So where there are deceased bonds to viral DNA for transformation, the first cycle is to become the E. coli bacterial cell. So you don't want to become E. coli back into this system, just to put that out there.
Right.
If you don't, so saying if you don't understand the Amduat, the path of the Pharaoh after death, what's the steps by step nature, how to acquire a light body or to walk into your light body and move up the hierarchy of lights. Because lights are casted in different sacred geometrical shapes. What shape are you? That's the question. Depending on your shape is depending how you fit into the puzzle or whatnot, and what you're going to experience after life and death. So the E. coli bacterial cell, you don't want to do that. In support of this, the Egyptian text revealed that the viral world heart pumping life, your heart pumps, it's like as a black hole, into our universe is a complex virus, which is the phage lambda. So the phage lambda is representative of how it's the heart, it's the centerpiece of the realm. Just like the heart is the centerpiece to you and your soul.
Right.
What the heart chakra does to you. It says this source or world heart generates two DNA texts. One is a viral legacy of our human DNA text due to the Big Bang, as I'm showing right here. This is the black dot. This is the Akasha right here. It expanded. It expands. It almost clones itself. I'm gonna read, but I'm gonna try to keep it short a little bit. So this is the Big Bang. The other is the DNA text of the virus itself that allows the transformation of the deceased beyond the space-time universe so that he or she will become a transcendent real consciousness of four forces, which is called the four zoas. I'll get into that. If I don't get to get into it today, I'll get into it another day. Okay, so in essence, the signs describe a self-transcendence or a movement to what modern science has classified as lower life forms, which is bacteria, which have a higher order. This may seem surprising. However, recent research in cell language theory positions that human language is ultimately founded in cell language, and that's what the hieroglyphics is. It is also important to keep in mind that the recent progress in human genetics with the analysis of the human genome, which is 97% junk. If it's 97% junk, that means most of the universe is melanin. So you have little to worry about. You're going to go back into the melanin sphere is what I'm saying. So to understand death is to understand melanin, and melanin is darkness. Darkness is chaos. It's forever. What is chaos? A state of being where change is supreme. Everything is changing. You're not the same person you were when you were 6 years old. You aren't the same person you were 5 years ago. You have a different mode of mind. You're changing. If you're not changing, you're dying. Okay, so
now I have a question too.
Yes, sir.
Based on that other slide, the previous slide, where you had the cloud and you were talking about the phage. One of the things that we've been heavy on lately is in regards to heart and mind coherence. And according to the image, it just drives home. So I want, if you could, before you proceed, go into the aspect of how important it is for gut health, because that is the communication that puts us on the right frequencies and controls the types of behavior and the types of thought processes that we have to be able to align us properly moving forward.
So you want to talk about communication and how it applies?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, communication is key. There's different cell languages. There's different languages that we speak. Now, the quintessential thing is that our ancestors were so advanced. They knew not to install the vowels in language at first. The vowels were very sacred. The vowels were specifically used to communicate to something called the nadis. Now, the nadis are the deities in the body. They're the spiritual cells. So you got physical cells, you have spiritual cells. As you understand that they have stripped our ancient language, our harmonic resonance field, and brought it down to this, what's English. It's supposed to be Anglo English and all of that, which is really not that. It's a lower field just to cast spell. That's why they say you got to spell a word. Now. Right. It's spells on top of spells. So the key is to learn while you're in the physical body. If you're going to become advanced, I'm going to give you the advanced answer. You can get the basic answer, you get the advanced answer. We're advanced beings.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to develop a new line of communication, which we're doing at Canvas Academy right now. What that means is you have to try to strip everything that makes sense to you in the Eurocentric model and begin to layer different types of communication through studying. I'm studying the American side of how language comes together. So I'm studying different systems from the Tolmecs, the Aztecs, Olmecs, all of them. And we already got a brother that put together a number system. You got to put the number system in first. You got to do 1 through 9. You got to understand 1 through 9. Then you can start putting in, the 26, 26 alphabet. You can play with that. You can have 11 letters. Yeah. Really. You got to talk about that letter K, which is the 11th letter. And WandaVision, all they did was take K out. It's really Wakanda. WandaVision. It is the letter K is 11th letter. And K pertains to the unit called Kelvin in thermodynamics. It's talking about sun language. Okay. The K is very important, but I'm sorry, I don't want to get too into that. But we have to understand that how we communicate to each other. You ever been on the bus and you see some white people kids acting up, and you and a black person make that eye contact? Y'all look at each other like, they know damn well they need to get them damn kids right. Exactly. But you don't even got to say nothing. We don't. You're right. You don't have to say nothing. That was an ancient language of communication we had called Krypton. Krypton was a language We didn't even use words.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need words. All we need to do before we spoke, we were vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
And still, when we speak, we still the vibration. We are the vibration. Everybody talking, oh, it's my vibration. My vibration. They're just saying self because we are the vibration of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
We're the heartbeat of the planet. We are the underworld. We are the underworld reflected in the hologram.
Mm-hmm.
The underworld is the layers, just like how you have layers under your skin. It gets to the bottom of your genome and your genetics.
Mm-hmm.
We are the precipice of the layers spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
So any form of communication comes out of us. We set the precedence of what communication is. So in a long, short answer, we have to develop our own system of communication, but we have to reach our kids and teach them a new code of communication amongst melanated people.
Mm-hmm.
Because these faux melanated people or phao melanated people, they have a code.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They have a code that's unspoken. They see, and the code is people of phao melanin, they always get benefits that no one else get. And people that are neuromelanated must be punished in some type of way and be stripped of something. They already have that code. When they look at each other, they already know they on code, they on par. We got to develop a counter of that.
Right. I share.
I say to that.
Dr. Blind's book, The Functionary, was so profound about him. It talked about it so much because he understood syntax and the power of that. So
right. That was heavy. That Functionary. That book was heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a heavy book. How you talk about the stage and the states of consciousness. A lot of people stuck in states of consciousness and they never got into the stage of consciousness.
Exactly.
Get stuck in a state. Don't get stuck in vegan foods. Don't get stuck into that. You got it. It's about evolvability.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Well, just to continue on, what we need to look at is decoding the Pharaoh's web of biosemiotics, which means message flow. Means message flow. This shows the deceased becoming the viral DNA for transformation outside of E. coli bacterial cell, which is a process of activating a time reverse de-evolution to the early universe. Now, this is when the realms of Tiamat, the great goddess, existed. There's several things explaining that the first women were, if you read the Parthenogenesis, they didn't need a male to procreate. There's a lot of great debate about this, but if you look into any mythology, there's, even if you go to the oldest astrological temple, calendar, go to the temple of Dendera, they're going to have a big astrological chart, and on it is going to be a hippopotamus in the middle. And the hippopotamus, hippopotamus, they be in the water. Go back and watch the movie Congo. When hippopotamus came up, started biting the damn thing, started shaking it and whatnot. They live in the water. The hippopotamus, the name of the hippopotamus is Tyert. Now, one thing people don't know, Tyert is the mother of Set. People don't know that. Set has a mother. I'm about to read in a second how, I'm gonna read that in a second, what's the struggle real quick. But Tyert has no consort. He don't got no husband. So it's saying right here, you have to go back to the early universe. The early universe, they're saying, is when we were androgynous.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to go back to that early. That's what sex is, a technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you have procreational sex, you have recreational sex, then you have meta sex. Let me show you what I'm talking about. The sex is quintessential to death.
Absolutely.
Every time a man ejaculates, he dies.
Yeah. And one other thing that people I think fail to realize is the importance of the Black woman, her womb, her portal, and it's a necessity for them to create this synthetic afterlife, you know, basically this soul trapping system. And the reason why that's so significant is because in every TV show, if you notice, you see the Black woman getting these leading roles. And so the whole thing, I shared some of this on the community tab of our YouTube, but the whole thing about that is that the matrilineal DNA is the oldest. And so what happens is with speaking about sex, each time a woman has menstruation, she is giving a blood sacrifice. She is sacrificing the babies that could have been, that were not. And so we give a sacrificial offering every 28 days in alignment with the moon, which rules the subconscious mind. So this is why it's so important for them to manipulate through the music industry the way that they are speaking of and treating Black women, because they know that this is the key. And so, yeah, that's very significant. And this is why people will wonder, well, why does it seem like saying a Black man and Black woman in a leading role in a healthy way is damn near non-existent? And what is that and why is that? And this is the reason. And so we must educate ourselves and realize that all blood sacrifices is not a negative connotation attached to that just because of Yaldabaoth and Jehovah and all of these different entities within the Old Testament, the way that they were using it. But we do offer sacrifice. And so the womb is the womb and the tomb. It is the portal and a direct connection to the afterlife, per se.
That's right. That's right. And that's what we have to understand. We have to put our women back into that power, but we have to put the structure. The structure has been destroyed. You know, they just talked about Queen Latifah up there. She was discussing how the roles, her mother didn't allow her to, you know, be function in a regular feminine role growing up. And we're looking at, okay, what is the essence of what feminism is? Not feminism from the European created model, but the true essence of the spiritual realm is understanding the structure of the universe and how the souls come together. Because the snakes, there's one female snake and there's a male snake, Lilith and Samael. That's the original snakes. And they both move up the tree, which is those giant, the giant stars, was the chakras. Move up the tree. And when they talk about guillotine, they cross right here, right at the head. When they talk about a guillotine, they cross. And in the center is this one dot. That's the orgasm. Right at that one little dot is the orgasm. And the orgasm is a reminder that your souls were once one. One time. It's a reminder to let you know that this is an illusion, and the only thing you are is that functioning state at that moment of time. And if you become more spiritually inclined, you know how to change your orgasms. There's different types of orgasms in tantric sex, and that's becoming the shape on the screen.
Absolutely.
These shapes on the screen, ultimately, you want to become a stellated dodecahedron, which is a ship you board. And when you both having sex, you're breathing. This ship that you build together will serve you even in the underworld after the physical. It'll serve you, and it's like a swirling kaleidoscopes of colors. And you're both together there. And the mate you knew in the physical, y'all both operate this ship as one being. And you travel the whole entire omniverse. Let me wrap it up. I'm saying right here, okay, so the pyramid text and the coffin text are biological concepts that are embedded in a spiritual narrative dealing with the afterlife adventures of the dead king or queen who desires eternity. Black man is eternity. The Black woman is infinity. and transfiguration. In this magical process of recreation, the dead king or queen becomes a god or the goddess. He or she does not die again or go upside down. That means go back into physical. He is not seized by the earth gods. Now, the earth gods is the archons. When we talk about y'all debate. We're learning how to get past Amit, that judgment of Mayat, get past the beast that keeps grabbing souls and putting them in this holographic reality. It's still a school. It's still, we use it because we're so great. We're so great of beings. We're the greatest. When we talk about Tom Brady being the greatest of all time, be the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Period. We're the GOAT. Saturn, the Saturn alien race. People try to make Saturn evil all the time. Yes, it's been desecrated into evil now in this dimension, but when the vibratory levels, you strip the layers back and go back in time, Saturn was the greatest thing ever. You know? Now it's evil today. You know, I ain't gonna deny that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, however, to obtain this desired state, the dead king or queen must follow specific directions using the earth and stars as guides. Now, this is what I was saying earlier with your experiences with people. You have experiences with different people. You must begin to study astrotheology. It's how they do these rituals. They look for which constellation is in which area over which state in the country. Because they do this thing. Everything is metaphysical. They call this stuff states. You know, when you get a business, it's called a corporation, which is a court, or you get a business called a entity. When you make the businesses an entity, all of this stuff is still metaphysical. And it's contract spiritually that they're making mandates that we don't even know about. We don't even know about these mandates. By following the advice in the funerary text, king and queen becomes transformed and joins the sun god, which is the ferry boat for the voyage around the black hole, which is the netherworld of the Duat. And they overcome the monster serpent Opophis. Isis is the lady of provisions. Thoth is the scribe of the gods, which assists the dead king in his journey through the black Duat. The dead king or queen judges the two brothers, which is Horus and Set. Now, Horus is your divine light. Set is your physical experience. Who compete for the throne of their father Osiris. When Set wins the throne, Osiris dies. When Horus controls the throne, Osiris rises from the dead with the help of Isis, who breathes life into him and conceives the child through a virgin birth. And this really happened in history. They ain't gonna tell you that. Like, these black women really learned how to lay their yanis towards the sun and bring a son, a male, out. They were more semi-androgynous, you know, they kind of like, you know, kind of like Megan Thee Stallion down this planet. The rivals are then reunited, resulting in the restoration of the eye of Horus, along with the birth of the dead king's new form, which becomes the Horus child, which is nourished by Isis and rising in the east. So to wrap this up, I wanted to show you the chart. This is the chart, how everything is happening right now. So the lambda genome has a left arm and a right arm, and explains it in modern science. There's a viral to human DNA text and a human to viral DNA text. So everything is reversed inwardly. You have the eye of Set, you have the eye of Horus. You have matter experiencing the physical universe, and you have the energy in the universe. You have fermions, which is particles of matter. Then you have bosons, which is particles of force. Space-time, which is our universe. Then you have quantum particles, which is the dual universe. You have a hologram, you have a holograph, and they can read the rest of it. But
Mhm.
the purpose of what we're trying to do when we're talking about this is learn longitudinal coherence while you're meditating, while you're obtaining the power words of vibration called mudras or mantras. You activate a space within your own cosmos. Each and every one of us is the god or goddess over our own cosmos. When they have you listening to these vibrations in the rap and in the R&B, what they're trying to do is take you out of your cosmos and you go live in that person's cosmos.
Mhm. Yep.
And if they on a low frequency, where you think you going?
Exactly.
So a lot of these people worship Beyonce and Jay-Z. They go live in Beyonce and Jay-Z's universe as death. And it's probably a clone model of the kingdom, but is a lowered model. It's like something of more illusion. You go into more and more illusion. You go further out in the astral plane instead of going towards the pole star, which is the middle center pillar. You got to learn how to move towards where the light is emanating, which is the eye of the storm, the eye of where the Kundalini, how these wave patterns, how they move and weave this universe. There's something in each of us, and there's a center point. And the more you move away from that center point, the more in depth you go into more and more illusion. Some people get ejected out the body too fast. At death, they get in a car accident, they get ejected out the body, and they come out of the body and they go home and knock on the door, and ain't nobody answer the door because they don't even know they dead yet. And they stay in that state. That state is like 100 years per second. Still knocking at the door.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody come and answer that door.
Man.
Yeah, that, this is the thing about this is that we must remember is that we are microcosm of the macrocosm. And so the goal is for us to be creating our own solar systems and creating our own universes so that when we leave here, we will not be bound to go into a clone universe or just another level of the holographic simulation. And that takes a certain level of illumination of the mind. It takes a certain discipline as well to be able to do this. One of the main things that has been really jumping out with me, and I posted this, there's this new show called The Good Place. And in The Good Place, they gave, I don't know if we have a picture, but in The Good Place, they basically depicted the weighing of the heart, and they depicted certain points that you would receive, whether it's minus points or additional points added to you based on the actions in this lifetime. And so in watching that, they kept showing the casket. The main casket that they were showing was the casket with the Black woman in it, and she had on a green dress. And the front of the casket had the symbol of the mark of the beast on it. And I know it was significant, and I know about the number of man and all of that, but we really don't fully know what that entails. A lot of things have been kept secret, even from us, to protect this information from getting into the hands of people who would use it, to continue to oppress and to continue to keep souls in this loop. So what happened was they put this image up there. And when I went back to look at I went back and looked at Arabic, Greek, Hebrew, just studying different languages to see what this was. And it occurred to me that this is the supposedly what we would call the mark of the beast. And that can be so many things. That's a whole show on its own, decoding what that mark truly is. But this mark is something, even in the Bible, it talks about it being assigned to the forehead and to the right hand. And so we know that the right hand or the right side of the body is actually the feminine, controlled by the feminine part of the brain. just as the left side of the brain is controlled by the masculine part principle within us. And so this is saying that by hijacking, cloning, and having these synthetic life forms that they're creating, but they still need the portal of the Black woman to do a lot of the things that they are doing. And so they marked her casket, as you can see this on the screen. Her casket was marked. And you know, it was just so profound to me. And you look at the numbers under there, and I didn't get a chance to do the gematria or the numerology of those numbers. But those numbers, basically 999, the number of feminine energy, and you can flip that and still get 666. So within 24 hours of saying this, it was so profound. Like, why was she dressed in the green dress? Why did they have, she had the most points going into the afterlife than any other soul in the image that they showed around her. This is very key to the where we are at this point. So, you know, it's heartbreaking to see that so many people are not even privy to this information. They don't even want to know. They could care less about learning any of this. And so fast forward to the American gods, they also had the Black man mark, and these marks were all around his neck. And you know, this is the Jacob's ladder, or the crystals, or the rising. There's this certain oil that is released within the body periodically every month that's in alignment with the cosmos. And so to keep that from rising, they put it around the man's neck. And this is why this was so significant. And so I kept looking at that, and I don't even know how the hell my eyes could decipher that, because it was very pixelated and it was intentional. And so I sent it to Ani, and I was like, you know what? I went into meditation. I was like, show me what is this and the significance of this. And so he was right beside the goddess. He was to the right of the goddess in this image, intentionally. And so in this image, you can see the rings of Saturn, you know, on her head. And we know it's a lot going on with that. But if you look in his beard, you can see these letters in his beard, which is called a stigma. It's a form of branding, where they are basically branding the soul to be able to continue to loose the energy. Bobby Hemmett did a book about the melanated beings and how they consume the energy, basically eat melanated beings. I found that book, and if anybody wanted, I can definitely post it so that you all can get access to this book. So, you know, this was significant. This was significant and important, because you all need to realize, if you look at these letters on here, you see what looks like a pitchfork, which is still stigma, but is turned sideways. And you can see that there. And again, my eyes were just open to see this, because this is not something that's really easy to see. And you can see the X, of course, which is two swords, which you could pronounce as ki or chai. But they kept talking about Chicago in American Gods. And so because we are so disconnected from the planet and from nature, we don't know the significance of these places. And this is why the highest murder rates are in places like Chicago and in places like Memphis, and in certain latitudinal lines that we are sitting on, in ley lines where they are using this. So every time his blood is shed and we're shedding each other's blood, we're feeding into this system, and that is allowing them to have some control over what happens in the afterlife. So I want to share with y'all, is so much more that I can share.
Ani, you good on time, or
you
kind of need to go?
Oh no, I'm good. Let's keep rolling.
Okay. So I'm going to share with you all, there are some patterns that I stumbled upon in looking at this, because I wanted to understand how they are able to use the energy of souls and benefit from this. And so I found something, bio-cryptocurrency, and there's a whole patent on the bio-cryptocurrency, which is what they are moving towards. And again, you all continue to give your donations, because we need that to be able to do these decodings. Again, we're in the 3D matrix just like you all are. And I know we might seem like magical beings that don't need to be able to have energy to function, but And so there is so much building that can be done, because until the minds are set free and liberated, then we're going to be in this perpetual state of going in these loops. So what is happening, they are, with the DNA, mRNA, again, they are using the programming in the DNA sequences. And this is why Bill Gates is overseeing a lot of this, because he's a computer programmer, and we are literally walking computers. And so what's happening, with the patent that I found, the patent was the almost exact same numbers that was on the Black woman's casket. And this patent is about 60 pages long. But as I was finding this information and doing research, they shut down the whole website, disconnected the server in real time. This was happening. I couldn't believe it, to the point where I just started taking screenshots. I ended up having to go to Reddit to ask for help from some other people who are more tech savvy to get back into it and get the caches of this site, because this website had all of the patents that a lot of us are not privy to. So there's a doctor named Dr. Bill Diego, and his interviews have been being wiped from the internet. Every time I would find an interview, I would go back to it, and they were being wiped from the internet. And when this happens, you know that what you're finding is significant. So I'm going to read a brief part of this, and then I'm also going to tell you why this is information that is important for starseeds, for people who know that we have a galactic origin, and it's not just here. So when you think of weather warfare, this is a frequency warfare. When you think of the DNA warfare, the mRNA, all of this is tied in, and you can't really separate the two, because everything is one. You know, the universe is mental. Everything is everything. So let me read a portion of this interview to you about the toxic electronic plagues that they are cultivating and creating. These are forms of biological weapons, microtoxins, and biotoxins that are being dispersed into the atmosphere. And so I actually found the military projects where they're doing this, and what this is allowing them to do is manipulate our memory, manipulate our mental accesses. So this is why meditation is so important. If y'all don't hear us say this more, it is important. I don't care if you feel like you're worse at visualizing or whatever it may be. If you can do nothing else but close your eyes and focus on the black dot, you are making a connection that is very important. And this is a practice, you know, this is something that you may not have full success the very first time, but y'all, we gotta be more disciplined about tapping into the inner knowledge and these inner universes. So let me go down to one of the military projects that was really significant, that stood out. He goes into talking about in the 1920s, see, cloning and perfecting this shit go all the way back. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. And so what happens is the technology, it typically falls into the hands of the people that are doing the colonization, for the people who are taking on over the people and the land. So there are specific bacterias that he was mentioning that were being used. Let me go down to the military project, and then we're going to show you a picture of what happened right before the winter storms hit. Because when we took a picture of this, I mean, it almost like they had sprayed blood over the city of Memphis. That's how it was. And the camera wasn't even capturing how red it really was, but we can show that to you. And literally probably about 48 to 72 hours later, this huge winter storm of the century hit us. But the number
started with the thunder and lightning.
Yeah, and it started with the thunder and lightning. So I've never known a winter storm to start with thunder and lightning, and that's because we are the thunder beings. And if you are unfamiliar with thunder beings and what that means, I've posted a lot of information on the community tab, and I did several videos breaking that down. So the #1 military project, they are also looking at dispersion of biological agents. In fact, 85% of the research of the US military in terms of biological weapon research for the last about 25 years is not in growing viruses or bacteria, but creating what is called microtoxins under stressful conditions. Microtoxins are used in the battlefield, but they also want to use them in something called Operation Sunshine. And y'all can look this up and do some research. Some of these projects is really hard to find information on, but if you look enough, you will find some information and come to your own conclusions. So they come over with small robotic helicopters that can spray a population and knock them down. It doesn't kill you, but it can paralyze you, and then they can do whatever they want. And they can also disorient a large number of populations. Now, this can make you nauseated. It can cause vomiting. They can disorient you. This is where you stand up and you get dizzy out of the blue. This is not always because of something that's internal within you in the form of illness. So these are what you call psychoactive agents, and they are biotoxins specifically extracted from fungi. And this is why shrooms is starting to be very important, because if this is a weapon within this fungi, that is a sentient being. That is a being that allows access to realms and dimensions that we are locked into because of the frequency war. But so it says that the #1 project the US military has been working on, not biological agents that get out of control because they realize it may kill their own and their soldiers, but they can also mutate so that even if they think they have a vaccine, it will not protect you. And they don't have 100% verification if even all their biohazard suits don't have holes in them or other problems that happen when you are in the battlefield. So they've been testing this stuff a whole lot. So what they have done is they've concentrated on what's called immediate dispersion of biological microtoxins. That's the first layer in biological weapons. Bioresearch markers to measure the dispersion pattern. The second military project, the second level of the chemtrail project, is what's called weather modification, where they put up what's called doping agents that actually create micronuclei. Just like the cosmic waves create micronuclei, is coronal mass ejections from the sun. Remember, we're sun people. So this is definitely something that's being used as a weapon to impact us as we are awakening and regaining our memory. So just like the cosmic waves create this micronuclei and coronal mass ejections from the sun, you also have the solar winds and also what's called gamma burst and background cosmic radiation that varies in the cosmos. So there's a lot of cosmic radiation, and there's going to be a lot more coming down in the rainfall. So they've been talking about modifying the weather. They have a supercomputer at Boulder at NOAA that takes the data when they do what's called drivers. They insert a driver, and it can be thousands of miles away, but it affects weather patterns in the jet streams, so they can affect the climate and have a weather weapon that's used against certain countries. They create droughts, famines, and like the winter storm that we saw. They can create tremendous weather storms, and they can steer weather by creating what's called a trans-dimensional vortex. It is a spiral-shaped magnetic flux field that pulls storm cells in towards a spiraling magnetic flux field. They can actually pull them in and create a storm cell and move it the way they would with a joystick by superheating the ionosphere out into the upper atmosphere. And they have these weapon systems. So this is far beyond HAARP, okay? Now, the third military project, which is the third level that most people are not aware of, which is the nanotechnology. And remember, the phase that he was showing is very similar to what the nanotechnology looks like. So this is, again, a synthetic recreation of what has already existed. So they are putting out nanotechnology weapons into the atmosphere. Those include genetically modified organisms that are nanotechnologically developed nanoorganisms that are basically biorobots. The fourth military project, the fourth level that people have never heard of before, is that they're turning the entire atmosphere into what's called a plasma. And when they put these particular particles, like a nanoparticle of barium, thorium, and strontium, and every 50th atom of thorium by nature is radioactive. They're doing this because they're creating a plasma atmosphere, and they do the upper atmosphere as well. They're doing what Edward Teller suggested should be done at 22,000 miles up, but they're doing it in the upper troposphere, about 80,000 miles, to deflect chromatic injections, to stop chromatic mass injection from knocking out power grids and electronics on the ground. So when you listen to this, of course, you know it's a lot more than what they're saying, but this is an interview with somebody who helped them to create this and come up with these patents. So what they're trying to do is they want to create a plasma because they can pump frequency through it. Specifically, every tissue and every living organism is called a harmonic capacitator, which means there's a specific tunable frequency. Just like an earthquake would take down a building, but not the next building, because if there are not frequencies within that earthquake that are harmonic with the specific building, the building will not develop what's called giant waves and tear the structure apart. Well, the same is true with a living organism. There's a harmonic frequency for every tissue within every organ. And if you create the specific harmonic frequency, you can release it in a biological molecule, and this will destroy certain tissues and activate certain genetic complexes. They're fully aware of this, and they have deployed this in the Gulf War. They were called poppers. So this asked his inside contact, why did they call them that? And it's because the Republican Guard would pop out of bunkers like they were popcorn, because they would release a fear molecule. And a hardened Republican Guard murderers were crawling up to the Americans without one shot ever being fired, begging them to turn it off because it induced a strong state of fear. They used them in the Fallujah and the Nahav so that people who will walk through the middle of a combat zone, like a woman and a child, the operational robots, at which there were over 1,200 deployed in the Gulf War, would lock onto a target and hit them with a ping, okay? And if they didn't have a friend or a faux dog tag on, they could do an accurate headshot at about 2.5 miles with either a high caliber weapon or directed energy weapons, which you cannot see to the naked eye. So these directed energy weapons and turning the plasma of the air literally into frequencies. If you want to kill an entire race or crops or lock them into certain matrix systems, they are able to do this. Remember how much the body is made up of plasma. So by pumping these frequencies into this, they can alter the behavior of people, causing bliss to make people unreasonably exuberant, despite the fact that they are in dangerous situations. And you can make people basically psychologically and physically paralyzed so that they cannot function. Now, he goes on to say, you know, to keep from sounding like a whack job, he presented a lot of cited sources, a lot of these different patents that I'm speaking of, and research where you can go and read this for yourself. He worked at MIT with nuclear physics, and he felt bad about it, but he also says that he was one of the people that was helping create this prior to him being knowledgeable about what they were going to use it for. So let me go to star seeds and why this is important for those of us who know that we have a galactic history and that it extends beyond Earth, okay, which is what all the great civilizations before us knew, which is why they were able to vibrate at a rate where they didn't have to deal with the bullshit. And a lot of people say that the Mayans just vibrated into a different dimension, an outer dimension. So these are called mycoplasms. And, these pathogenic mycoplasms that they are using, which have been engineered. So there are 200 species of the mycoplasms. Most of them are innocuous and do not harm, but only 4 or 5 are pathogenic. So once they are dispersing this into the air, they're able to manipulate. So this is why some people, like, we know all of this, and it seems like some people just walk around in this state of bliss. Like, it's like, damn, do you not know what's going on? You know, do you not know that you're under attack? And this is because of these frequencies. And this depends on what you know and what you are doing as well. So let me skip down to how they're targeting the star seeds. There's a lot of information in here. The creation of the mycoplasm. I have all the experiments and a lot of the links. And like I said, this type of information, what got our Instagram took down. And because I'm an oracle, a lot of times I don't know how significant the information that is coming through me really is until shit like that happens. And I'm like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So let me skip down to you star seeds, you carbon-based beings. All right, give me a second.
Yeah, it's all the way at the bottom.
Okay. And then, Ani, we can let you jump back in here because I know I'm probably sparking something that you might want to share with
Most definitely.
minutes of the show, y'all, okay? And if y'all want a part two, again, your donations is going to allow us to do that. So it's so much more information we could not squeeze into 2 hours. But if you all want a part two, we need y'all to get those donations up like we were saying, because in order, breaking the matrix is not something that is only going to be done by you doing rituals, meditations, ceremonies, ancestor honoring. It's more to it than that. And we have to realize that living in this system that we are in, we need to be masters of our energy. And that includes the energy that is an extension of you. So, you know, we do a lot of this for free, y'all. You know, Ani and us, it's so much time goes into this, and it takes a certain level of courage to say, I'm gonna do presentations and present my information to the public. We get a lot of, you know, backlash. We have to deal with a lot of shit on many levels. And so you become a targeted individual when you're targeting that audience that was supposed to be oppressed, and you're giving them information that is going to empower them.
So took away my cash out.
Yeah, absolutely. So star seeds are being targeted specifically. Let me break this down to you. So there are elements of secret earth governments, and there are syndicates as well as ancient breakaway SSPs. And these are the military projects you may have not heard of. Kruger is one of the owners of them. So there is a galactic slave trade. Okay, slave trade is not something we just do here when we're trading basketball and NFL players. As above, so below. They're doing this shit out in space as well. This is from what I have come to understand at this point. Okay, so these are these breakaway projects that they are using. And these are called off-world groups of beings, but who have also become what we have termed as AI prophets. And we're working on a somewhat integrated but independent agenda of bringing these ET-AI into the control of technologically dependent world that they have helped to create. They are trading technology for souls, okay? Especially for those unaware. So they consider to be far more capable of ruling humanity and have been a scourge across multiple galaxies and destroyed hundreds of advanced civilizations, far more advanced and wiser than our own. So this is considered by other SSPs and even other what you would call federations. You have to remember corporations and systems as above, so below again. You cannot look at anything with one perspective. So there are security protocols in place to guard against the AI threat, are quite intrusive at times and are taken very seriously. There are some of the more negative oriented groups of AI, and these are entity attachments that are established themselves, but they also use ethereal negative spiritual entities as tools to attach to humans to manipulate their behavior. These entities use both the ETEDs, AI, and humans as hosts and extract loose energy from their victims by creating fear, anger, depression, anxiety, and any number of other lower vibrational emotions. This loose energy is shared with the host in a symbiotic relationship. So I'm just giving y'all a piece. So the soul system, the solar system that is within you, you must realize is like moth to a flame. And we don't, because we don't know the extensiveness of who we are, we don't realize what we are attracting. So I just want to remind you that this is how important you are in your awakening. So these bio-cryptocurrency systems, the mind control, the chemtrails, the mRNA editing, CRISPR-9, all of this is playing a role. They're just not just trying to master this life. They want to be able to rule the afterlife as well. All right, you got it, Ani, it's you, all you.
Oh yeah, most definitely. All of that is 100% correct. And going back to the strontium they're using in the Texas atmosphere right over that region, strontium is the 38th letter. And I show people in gematria, murder equals 38. It also equals 83. And they killed a Tampa Bay Buccaneer by the name of Vincent Jackson, who used to play for the Chargers, which their mascot is a bolt, which represents electricity. And y'all talked about how the storm started off as that. But all of these people that's plugged into this thing, they're using biocryptography. I talk about different ways of cloning. People think they're cloning people the same way. They got different ways of cloning. At nanotechnology, she just went over the mycoplasma. They have several ways how to change consciousness on the planet and get somebody up under a archonic based consciousness, which is most of these people are they're born in a lower state of consciousness. You have to gain a level of light and different transitions between reincarnations to gain the light that you need to be in a high state. You have to be in the university enough to understand that you have to become a certain class of a being. Some people are born into that lower state and very easily subjected to that state. They get pulled into that state and they become mind slaves, become agents of chaos, of their chaos. Because our chaos versus their chaos is something different. But I want to tell them that we have energy weapons too.
Yeah.
We got sciences too to fuck them up. You got to learn the science of the egregore. I've been talking about this thing. Promethean current. Prometheus was a titan. When the gods created man, Prometheus was a titan that chilled and they didn't really see what he was doing. And they didn't turn him into a human, even though he was a titan. They turned the rest of his family. But then one day, Zeus realized that Prometheus did something, Prometheus gave the pineal gland to the Titans, his family, that got, this same story of Lucifer giving light and all of that type stuff. They came in the technology loose. All of these is mythological, cosmological references to how these systems work in the spiritual planes, and they're making it into weapons, into that artificial intelligent technological devices or whatnot. But this Prometheus gave fire to the gods, and Zeus took him and put him in the underworld and stretched him out, just like the story. This is the original story of the cross, or Jesus being sacrificed. He put him on this stake, this pole, and there was a mechanical bird that Medea in the mythology, in Greek mythology, Medea later on becomes Media. Media that feeds our eyes and whatnot to see all this type of stuff. She was a witch, and she made mechanical devices in the Greek mythology. This crow she made would pick out his liver for the rest of his eternity. Now, what was in his liver, we discover, if you get George Giorgiani book on the Titans, he says that there's something in his liver called the black. Same thing I've been talking about.
Yeah.
With the melanin science.
Yeah.
The black is melanin. What is this, the black? Why does Zeus, Yaldabaoth, the head of the archons that put this intelligence, gave them the ways to create this nanotechnology, to clone these people? They gave them intelligence to do this. Zeus, in the book, it says that Zeus says that the black inside of Prometheus' liver, which is in the first race, has the ability to predict how he's gonna die. So he wants to take the black, the melanin away so he can see. It's called foresight. The word Prometheus means foresight, see what is coming. So we can tap into the light in these dimensions. When they're describing the X-Men, the black woman brought the first X chromosome. We have to understand that. So we're far advanced, and we can type into those auric and light fields and prevent what's coming down to the line. All we have to do is get back into the sciences. We're developing those sciences in preparation of what you need to do magically. Get back into the grimoire science. Get back into recording your magical practices, and you start to strengthen your light so you can do these spells on them.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very important. Just wanted to say we have something on the screen here, which shows with the manipulated environment, they're able to manipulate the expression of genes. So, y'all, it's so important that not only that we're not allowing them to implant this stuff into us, you know, voluntarily. I mean, damn, you need to at least go down with a fight. But they're now paying people. They're reducing prison time for them to take the vaccination, and they're also paying people $1,400 to take the vaccination, including college kids, mostly Black. Now, I've been getting that from clients in readings. So this is real, and this genetic expression being manipulated is important. I want to share one more thing, but the investment company that put the money behind for the vaccinations of Pfizer is called BlackRock. So he was speaking of back. It's called BlackRock. I was like, who putting all the money into this? It's called BlackRock.
There you go.
Yep. This was a great bill. Did you have any last things? We got about 8 minutes to go that you wanted to say?
Yes. A lot of stuff going to be fake and illusions. That whole Gorilla Glue stuff. These people, they got biocryptography looking to optogenetics. There's something called action potentials, where they can program actions of what they about to do before they do it. They can program this type of stuff. And these people that you're seeing, they ain't real people. They far gone. So what we're gonna have to keep doing, we have to move back into our magical systems, tapping back into our American years. It's funny you mentioned American Guys earlier. They don't got no American Guys in the show. We don't know who's Michelangelo Cooper, who is Quetzalcoatl, who is Ishel, who is Tezcatli Polka. That's a bad motherfucker. Tezcatli Polka.
No indigenous gods, but they threw that bird in there though.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? They put the little thunder bird in there. And they got the reach. You know, the radio reach. We know what the reaches is. You know, that's what you call celebratory. That's the whole celebration of ceremony. Yeah, and that's what you do in church. In church, you just celebrate the same thing you learned last year. It's called celebratory ceremony. You're not learning knowledge of something you don't know.
Right.
Exactly.
And every day, the Egyptians said that if you didn't learn something in a day, you died.
Yeah.
If you didn't learn something, you died that day.
Yeah.
How many times have you died in this lifetime? You know, if you're not contracting and expansion is the universe. That's the same science of the Ani. Contraction and expansion is the science of the black hole. So we have to contract this information. We have to get back into the American gods. That's the land we're on.
Right. Exactly.
Osiris in the West is called Michelangelo Cooper. Gotta know who that is. And he's also the zombie god. That's kind of interesting that they're making people zombies, because he rules over zombies. He's a zombie deity. But that's all I have to say. Vaccination exemption forms. We can get you a universal form for wherever you're at. You can get the form from me. Email me at startribe777@gmail.com. You're trying to get vaccinations exempted. We can only exempt the MRC5 or anything in the inoculation pertaining to dead fetuses. Dead fetuses, we can get you. That's almost all of them. They got like 6 out here. Yeah. So we can get you exempted for that. We have sacred plants, psychedelics. We have psychedelics. Also email startribe777@gmail.com, and I'll also do consultations. Consultations, so you can hit that email up and contact me, and we can get it popping. We'll set up a schedule. We can get that done for you as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And we're also doing what we can to assist. So a lot of the potions that I'm creating, the elixirs that I'm creating, this is information that's coming through me through channeling. Blue lotus flower, which is getting hard and hard to find the real deal, but a lot of the bases of the potions, especially the third eye potion, and so many people making shit out here, and I've used it and not have any impact at all. You can read the reviews and the testimonial. If you're trying to have a deeper experience, you can use the third eye potion. It's called Let's Get Lucid. You can find it at remnantsgathering.com. I do readings as well. I'm a medium, so I can commune with different dimensions and even with past lives. So a lot of different things like that and modalities. just through my lineage of being an oracle or Mami Wata, I'm able to do this. And so I'm a lineage of Sibyls, and Sibyls were the seers and the prophets of the old, and they were the ones who they reverse engineered their information to construct religion, is what, so me coming out of that was a huge service to our people of awakening. So check that out. We got a lot of new stuff on there. We have Spell that we just did. Again, I don't want to do no mundane, Rudy Pooty, got it out of a book, nothing. The most powerful shit is the shit that you channel and that you bring through that has no connection to the matrix. And I know for some of you, it's just the time that it takes to tap into to do that. It's a level of discipline that you have to have. And so when you're buying posters and stuff like that, just make sure the people that you're getting the stuff from is legit, and they're living in. So many people are so busy being fake gurus, they're not doing the work. And so they're just getting over on people. But the integrity level that we have, this whole tribe here, we're not even on that, and so, in order to empower each other, this is what is necessary. The one of the things, because I hear somebody ask it, okay, y'all gave a lot of information, what can I be doing to make a change for the afterlife? And that's paying attention where you are making your spiritual investments. Yes. So this includes attention, your ear gates, your eye gates, all of these things. Remember the gut-brain barrier as well. So we're not saying you got to eat like this or eat like that, but be conscious when you're eating, transmute what you're eating, speak over the molecules within what you're eating so that it is not going against the DNA coding that is resurfacing and being unlocked for us to have access to. Exactly. And another thing that you can be doing is doing the shadow work. Working with your own demons. That is where the power source that they have scared us away from. So some of the things that you can be doing and using, going within. There's nothing outside of you that will ever be more powerful than unlocking what is inside of you. I don't care what nobody say. So do the work. Don't allow the triggers to murder you. You know what I'm saying? He was talking about the number of murder, the number of death. You want to be able to be your own metaphysician and master yourself. Go within. The shadow is where you're going to gain illumination, because it is because of the light that the shadow was created in the first place. And that's my last words. Did you have any last words?
I mean, we can't say it enough. We have to get back to our practices. We got to get back to our magical practices, doing what we need to do.
Absolutely.
You are your best subject. You know what I'm saying? That's right. That's the way that you're going to help accelerate your evolution and getting to where we need to be.
Absolutely. And sex magic, sex magic, sex magic. Don't let them take something that was meant to be an ancient, powerful technology and use it against you. Men, hold your semen, just practice doing it. When you release it, let it be conscious. Ladies, withhold your waters, and when you use it, make sure that you're not releasing all of that energy just because they use that. If you don't have an intention set for when you have any level of orgasm, then you're feeding the very entities that have oppressed us and kept us on planet lockdown. So we're going to be delving more into that. That is really, really deep. And it's one of our practices is being twin flames we have to go into. It's not as simple as it sounds. It's going to require some work on your end. And it's just so much more to do. We have been misinformed and miseducated, but men, generating your chi, ladies, healing your womb, reconnecting with your yoni. I'm really at a point now where I believe sex magic is going to be one of the main keys to us breaking this shit open and taking that technology back.
That's right. It's all about with females turn your chakra, learn to turn your chakras clockwise, males counterclockwise, and alchemically we can morph this dimension back into the kingdom of light.
That's right. Ashe. So let's not be having no more babies and you ain't got no intention set for that soul that you bringing down. Let this be your day-to-day practice. All right.
Indeed.
So we go out. We all got to get off here and got things to do. We go play a little music while we're going out. Ani, he got things to do again. We got lives outside of this. We still gotta do what you gotta do. But we go get to a point where our community was supporting each other so much that we're gonna less need outside sources. Did you have any last words, Ani?
Yes, just have focus on intent and not attention. They're trying to get your attention. Focus on your intent.
That's right.
That's right. So when this winter storm hit, We was like, let's get some work in. We don't give a damn what it is they trying to do, what we trying to do.
That's right.
Know what you're trying to do. Set the intent for your life. Do it at nighttime so the next day when you get up, your energy not just being dispersed and used by whoever and whatever, but you want to be in control of self. Yeah. All right.
That's right. Well,
That's it. Yeah. All right, so we go get out of here and we go, you know, we like to do shit. We like to do our shit. We got a whole other side to us. We be teaching and shit, but you know, I want y'all to know that your money, that's an extension of you, and you can use this to break shit that you have not been able to break in your life. Yes. So you got the Cash App, y'all got the PayPal. So you got 5 on it or not. So we can keep doing this, and we're gonna keep building to get bigger and bigger. We don't give a fuck what suppression is happening and how they're trying to stop us from speaking. We will find a way, because that's what we do. We evolve and we adapt and we overcome.
Yes.
All right, y'all know the hook to this, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So who got 5 on it? Cause we bringing you the facts. Who got 5 on it? When you give, it comes back.
Yeah,
who got 5
on it?
We got all that you need. Who got 5 on it? Fucking with this family.
Hey.
Yeah. All right, y'all. The next webinar, don't miss out. We're gonna put it together. We can't talk about everything.
You got the first. All right.
All right. Peace.
Peace.